What are you doing, Tina?
What are you doing, Jenny?
We are two women living our best lives in the Black Hills of South Dakota, sharing our stories, laughs, and projects happening in the garage.
Whether you're looking for a bit of joy, a spark of creativity, or just a comforting voice, you can find it here. Unicorn!
This is happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we on?
Yes.
Good.
The Unicorn Projects, Episode 3.
Giddy up.
LFG.
LFG. I've been saying that a lot lately.
LFG? What is that?
Let's effing go.
Whose phone is vibrating?
Let's fucking go. Oh, that'd be mine.
Miss Popular.
I know. I gotta take it.
You do?
Okay.
I do, actually.
Okay.
Hey, sis.
Hi.
What's up?
We need your opinion if you're available.
Well, shoot. Let's go.
You're on the podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, welcome to the podcast, Kai.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, all good. What do you got?
We got our paint, that green, the recycled
The
glass.
recycled glass. Yep.
This happens
But
all
on
the time.
wall, I think it's a bit too dark.
Yep. See, this is why I told your mom that she needed to pick up a sample.
Yeah,
So what's
which I did.
Yep.
These are samples.
What's the one to the left?
So that's another one. That's called Valley View.
Yeah, that's like seafoam. Is there? Okay, keep going. Tell me what you're thinking.
So I like this one just because it's much brighter and the room isn't very big.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Do you think it's like too limey? Like
Yes.
arts and crafts limey?
Here's what I would do. You are. Give me just a second.
I'm looking it up.
Jenny's pulling this up here real quick.
Okay.
So what we need to do is, where'd you go? There you are. I need to see where recycled glass sits on a swatch. If there's a colorway that is above it that's a bit diluted. Otherwise, I'm going to send you to Sherwin-Williams and you're going to ask them to lighten that paint color by 25%.
25%?
Yep.
What's it called? Recycled glass?
Recycled glass.
Yeah, that Valley View, it just looks like kindergarten.
Yeah, it's a little elementary, like seafoam green,
Yeah, that's kind of what I got from it too.
Yeah, especially when you're trying to pull sage as kind of your theme color. Bear with me. Yeah, so when you go to this, I don't like that. So can you go to Sherwin-Williams? Do you have that little quart still?
Yep.
And tell them that you're trying to lighten that, so they're going to put a couple of drops of white in there to dilute it, and have them re-stir it, and then take it back and put it on the wall.
Okay.
And keep track of what you're doing. Like, I would write above that green, that's 100% recycled glass. See, this is what I did to get to the paint color that we have on the outside of the house. And then you go back and you have them adjust it, make it lighter, make it darker, whatever you're going to do. But make note of how much you've diluted that color.
Right. Okay.
Okay?
They close at 5.
They close at 5, so
it's 5 now.
You got 1 minute.
Tomorrow, 10 a.m.
So they open at 10 tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to.
Do you want to see what the maison looks like on the walls?
Yes, please.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Okay. All right. It looks very different.
This
for
is
each
our
wall.
whole
So this is the
interior
wall that
color.
Has like the most light hitting it directly.
Yeah,
nice.
that's good.
Beautiful.
But then look at this wall over here.
Yes, that's okay. That's okay. And you haven't put any kills or anything on the wall yet.
No.
So once you get, and that's just like a little brush, right? You're not taking a full roller, 2 coats, whatever we end up doing.
We just brushed it.
Yeah. I that's what I love about that paint color, is it's so dynamic. It changes from room to room with the light. It gets really warm and moody at night. It's really bright in the morning.
Yeah.
So I like that personally.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay.
And then here's the charming pink over here for my dressing room.
Ah, well
That's
done,
sweet.
sis.
I like that.
That's awesome. That's totally you.
Yeah, it's like perfect. It's like a
Yes.
yogurt.
Yep. Especially when you get all those hardwoods exposed and yep.
Yeah. Do you
Ja-
want to see the hardwood or do you want to wait for person?
I want to wait in person for that, please and thank you.
Okay, I figured.
Yep.
Just want to make.
Nope, you're good. You're good. You're awesome. All right.
Cool. Okay, I'll go to Sherwin at
They open
10.
at 10. Yep. Just tell them to dilute it by 25%.
25%.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Just make it lighter. Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you guys. I
You
appreciate
bet. All right.
See
Love
ya.
you. See you later.
it. Bye, guys.
Bye.
How cute is that?
Yeah, little Kai. So you've heard us talk about Renee before. I went to elementary school, kindergarten through graduating high school with Renee. And when we bought the house that we have right now, we came to find out that Renee lived 2 houses down. Like there was one neighbor in between us. So it has been fun as an adult to reconnect with her in this chapter of being able to kind of be the fun aunt to their kids, and Kai, her oldest, they just closed this week on their first house, she and
That's
her
awesome.
fiance. So she and Isaac are in the throes of all the things that we like to do, ripping up carpet and hoping that hardwood floors are in good shape and picking out paint colors and
Is it here locally?
yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
So you're over there a lot?
I've been up over there a couple of times and directed them to contacts that I have in different trades to move water heaters and add electrical outlets and recessed cans and now we're gonna help them paint. So
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You're so sweet.
oh, it's fun to be able, like, you can see the excitement on her face, and
Yeah.
when I get to hear from her mom, Kai called you yet? Yeah, she called today. She's like, all she kept saying in the story is, "Do you think Tina's gonna like it? Do you think Tina's gonna like it? Like, I can't wait to show
Tina's
Tina.
approval.
I can't wait to."
Would you
yeah,
tell her if
so,
you didn't like it?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good.
And then Renee's other daughter, Kier, calls me all the time for like any medical question, ache or pain, but then she'll and I just love this. She spontaneously out of the blue calls and she's like, "Can I come show you my hair? I just got it done." Or can I come show you, like when she was going to prom a few years ago, "Can I come show you guys my dress? Or can you come over?"
Yeah.
And it's so great. And our kids Claire and Kier are super close, and
They'll
we
rent an
all-
apartment together.
someday
soon.
for sure. And they all we get together for game nights, which is so fun
Oh,
with
I love that.
with adult kids and your big kid teenagers. Oh my gosh, they are a scream.
We had a. Oh, what do we got?
An emergency alert.
That's not good. Oh, this is out by us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wildfire.
To level
that's
3.
Out by us. They just moved it to level 3.
Yep. Evacuations for some people.
People are trapped.
Well, could
Oh,
be.
people.
it could
Okay.
could trap you if you don't go. We're just having a rough start here.
Yeah.
Or are we?
No,
Or
I
are
think, this is the reality
life,
of
right?
our
Yes.
day to day.
I was thinking we should just
Totally.
be ourselves.
Oh,
Always.
And you know what? Earlier today, we met. Renee's parents are moving to Rapid City from their forever home in Deadwood, and they're moving to a townhouse. And so we go over to the townhouse that our parents are moving into on Tuesday, and the paint's all wrong.
Oh no.
It's too dark. And so there we go again, over to Sherwin-Williams with Renee to pick out the paint color. And Tina's on the phone to our friend Kenzie. And turns out Kenzie's going to put in 2 marathon days and paint the entire interior tomorrow and Monday because the moving truck comes Tuesday.
We were going to paint that studio next door tomorrow. So that we need to nix that. I stopped this afternoon and bought 10 gallons of paint. And Kenzie and I are going to bust it out tomorrow, and then she'll finish up on Monday, and we'll get Renee's parents don't know.
Oh,
So she'll surprise them with that.
They'll be surprised when they come in on Tuesday to a freshly painted, much brighter home.
what a nice surprise.
Yeah.
And then Tina laid out Skylights that we're going to get a bid for.
Renee sends me, there's a backstory for sure. Renee sends me a text toward the beginning of this last week, and she said, Tina, what am I going to do? We have this townhome. It's way dark in here. And I said, it's going to be okay. We'll lighten it up with paint. That's the first thing and the easiest thing to do. And she said, can I put bigger windows in here? And I said, send me a text of what the pictures look like, what the windows are. And she sent me a text, and there are these 4 transom windows. And I haven't seen the house. I'm just looking at this through a text. And I call her and I said, Renee, where are these windows? Is that on the outside ground level? Is this a 1-level townhome? And she said yes. And I said, you can't put bigger windows in. I mean, you can, but you're going to have to excavate, and you're going to have to cut into the concrete foundation, which now you're changing the structural integrity of the home and water flow outside, and that is a massive project. And she said, no, I don't think we're going to have to do that. And I said, okay. And I can tell from the photo that this is what's going to have to. I can see the top of the grass in the yard and the bottoms of the tree trunks right outside that transom window. I can tell. So when we went over today, I said, show me the back of the townhome. And I'm vertically challenged. I have a 29-inch inseam, and I can one step onto the roof of the house.
Yeah.
From ground level, because it's all filled in. And I said, you're not going to want to do that. That is a massive undertaking.
Plus, you'd have to egress the windows.
Yep. So I said the best way to get her some light in is to cut in some skylights, and problem solved. And I said, here's Jeff's phone number. Call Jeff. If Jeff doesn't work out, get Josh over here. And you're looking at probably $1,500 to $2,000 per skylight. I'd put 3 in. And boom, done. Game over.
Yeah.
Take them, a weekend. That's it. So
that's our day.
We're going to go that route.
Okay.
Yeah.
A weekend, huh?
Yep.
So.
And then I'm moving a few things around at my office. So we ran over to Ashley and up to Slumberland, and just to get some ideas and measurements of a couple things. So it was a
whirlwind
kind of
morning.
a design day.
Yeah. And not at all what we had planned for the morning, but it just kind of rolled out that way.
That's what happened.
It is what it is. Yeah. It's no biggie. But go ahead.
You said you had a question.
Yes.
Do you want to ask your question?
Yeah.
I also have a
actually, my
question.
question's for you.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm scared.
So Tina and I just were like 2 ships passing in the night this week. I had an absolutely bonkers week at work. I mean, I worked probably 14, 15-hour days. So we didn't get a chance to catch up. And so I know that Tina was down here a couple days, and I wanted to ask you what that was like.
Oh, good question.
It was a joy.
Well, tell me.
Yeah, no filter.
Yeah, just tell us like
what. That's
what
an
happened.
interesting question. Yeah.
Yeah, like what was your perspective of, I guess, how Tina walks into a space and then what happened?
Well, we had a time scheduled. First it was, what did you come in first for?
We stayed on Tuesday after we did a little
Yes.
walkthrough. You and I spent some time in here. And
Because we had to record some
yeah,
things.
that kind of rolled into a conversation with Russ and with Kenzie, right?
Yes.
Kelsey.
Or Kelsey.
Yeah, Kelsey.
Sorry.
And Mark Houston.
And Mark Houston. And then you said we needed to meet with Chris J, so you set that up for Friday afternoon.
So we did the recordings and stuff, and you left. You had
Right.
a meeting, and Tina and I were talking about, you know, how we felt about the podcast after we watched it and things like that. And I was like, well, you know, the surroundings that we're in currently aren't really what I see when I think of you two. And so we started talking about the other podcast studio next door. And so we wanted to go over there and look at it. And instantly, you just see Tina's face light up like a kid in a candy store. She's like, you got a tape measure? Like, she wants to
my
start
gosh.
remodeling this studio, right?
Yep, totally.
And she's got all these amazing ideas. And it's already in our heads that we need to remodel this podcast studio, right? And so I go over to Mark Houston. I think you need to come over here and meet Tina and listen to her ideas. And he's just sold right away as soon as she starts talking, because everybody just loves her creativity. And nobody really knew what they wanted in that studio until she started talking. And did you come back later that day? No.
I don't think
Or do you,
so.
do, you do you work here now?
So basically, she's like, if we paint this color on the walls, it'll pull this color out of the carpet, and we could put lights up here, and they can be controlled by remote, and we can refinish these, whatever these things are called, sound panels. And she's just instantly has this vision of what this studio needs to look like, and it's absolutely beautiful, like something you'd see in a magazine with beautiful plants and lamps. And so we go and get Kelsey Kinney. She's got to, we got to have her approval to do any of this, and she's instantly sold on it. She's like, do whatever you want, Tina, basically.
I was like, cool.
So I wondered if that was how it went. Because it's like a phenomenon.
It is.
It is like a phenomenon where she has this mix of charisma, energy, yet she is such a great designer that she totally sucks you into the vision of what it could be. And she gets you there, well, these textures would look really good, this way, and we could, cover these sound panels like this. I can hear it already, the whole, all of it. And, what I love about her, have always loved about her, is that she does these very cohesive design concepts where it is perfect down to the last detail. Not only is the paint color right, and we're going to, the big things that we're doing, but she's thought about it all the way down to the minutia. Like what gets set on the table? How does that look? What kind of plants are you going to put in there? She's just really unique and talented that way.
And when she had Kelsey, she had her approval. Then we have to work on Chris Jacobs. He's like our IT guy, and this is like all these studios are his babies, basically. And so that is terrifying to me. I don't know. He just stresses me out a little bit. So we were a little concerned about that. And so we set up a meeting to where he could be there. And so she comes back that day, and my blood pressure's up because I don't know how he's going to respond. And he instantly just becomes her best friend.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, we can drop a line over here, cut a wall or cut a hole in the wall here and drop down some. I don't even know what she said, but I don't speak that language. But he was like, yeah, I like that. Yes. Yeah, I like that.
And the funny thing about it is she has that experience with lots of people in all kinds of different trades where they feel seen. They feel seen, and they feel, and she genuinely is just as interested in their expertise and what they're doing and like wants to know more about them and how they do it and what they think. And she's very able to very quickly build a rapport. And then all of a sudden she has like this whole team who's like, we're jazzed about this now. Like, how do we move this forward?
Yes. And Kelsey, who you never see around here, sees Tina in the building and drops what she's doing, grabs her coffee and comes and hangs out in the meeting with us and
It's
Chris.
magnetic. Yeah.
She's like, I'm not supposed to be here, but I am.
I was like,
so
perfect.
great.
I know.
Chair.
I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm sold. Just do whatever you want. Get started whenever you want.
Do you have like a key card yet or?
Not yet.
No.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
good. It's
Not surprising.
It was a fun week. And then I was introduced to the basement. So
Dun, dun, dun.
that's going to be an epic space.
Absolutely.
Oh, you're doing stuff down there too.
I'm fixing to.
We might
I'm
have
trying
like
to.
3 areas where we record this podcast.
Oh my gosh.
I'm trying to. Chris J and I went back down there, just the two of us, and toured that space, toured his space. And I think that there is a way, it's a common space for everyone in the building, but Chris is going to speak to, the decision makers, the stakeholders that would green light use of that or part of that space. And if we can do that, then it really becomes something epic because you're in this industrial feeling space that I can build temporary walls on casters and spin with 2 different colors on
Like stagecraft.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so each podcast that's shot here at Homeslice can kind of have their own stage set, their own with some core pieces, but you have a dedicated space that this is where this camera goes every time. This is where this camera goes every time. We have this lighting. We have this backdrop. And I think now it really becomes something for everybody, for each individual that records something that they're passionate about, that they're trying to share. It's less clinical, because there is a video component.
Have you ever done stagecraft before?
No.
Have you ever had any experience like designing a set?
Well, I would say that our house is a set in some ways.
But you're just...
But no, I was never part of like drama club or
And that's what I
anything like
love.
that.
Like she's like, I don't know, I've never done it before, but I think this is what we ought to do.
And I'm going to do it now.
Yeah.
It's probably in the YouTube search history at home.
She has no fear.
No.
And when we were in the meeting, she's like, I was thinking maybe a different texture on this counter. And they were like, yeah, we're not married to this. And she's like, good, because I already bought it.
You did?
It's just a butcher block.
We're into butcher block right now. So it warms it up
It
tremendously.
does. Big time. Different textures, colors, depth of lighting, simple things like that make such a dramatic impact. And if you think about it, it's the most minimal investment. Like paint, for all intents and purposes, is cheap. And it makes a huge impact.
Yeah.
These kids are seeing that firsthand. They think, you see a little 2-inch swatch and you're like, oh man, I love this color. And then you put it on a wall in a 4-foot by 4-foot section and you're like, oh crap, that's really dark.
That looked so dark.
What's it going to be when you paint an entire room?
It's going to make it small.
It's going to make it small. And so then, and that's okay if you're going for moody and dramatic, and there are ways to lighten that up with maybe the ceiling is white, or maybe you paint the ceiling that color and the walls are white. I think people forget that you can do that. I don't think people think about painting their ceiling a color, and then your walls are a muted tone of that, or a version of white.
Yeah.
And that makes an impact too. And it gives it another color to play off of as far as pulling in, draperies or any sort of textiles or picture frames or pots and blankets and accent pillows. And I don't know. I'm sure this is not the path that you meant for today's session to go. Here we are.
I'm just completely hypnotized anytime you talk about anything.
Well, and we just finished redoing the decor in what's now our office. And it is so beautiful.
The office at the house, yeah.
And, today we went over to one of the furniture stores and she's like, yep, do you have the lamp I called about? They're like, yep. And she found it on the website, called to see if they had it, talked them into cash and carry with the one they had. We go down there, we get it back home, we get it in the office, and it is so cool because it's really tall and the shade, has a lot of height to it. And I never would have thought of putting something like that there, and it makes the room look taller. It makes the ceiling look higher. It's so cool. I was like, why does that do that? Mm-hmm. She did the same thing in our bedroom. We have these creamy, beautiful velvet drapes. Yeah. And we put up the curtain rods, and they're, I don't know how many inches from the ceiling.
Less than 4. About
4 inches.
4, yeah.
4 inches from the ceiling, way up there. And I'm like, what are we doing, We get those drapes on the things and we get them hung up and we step back, and I swear to God, our ceiling height in the bedroom looked like it went up by like 3 or 4 feet.
Wow.
Because it draws your eye up, and so it makes things look
taller.
More open and taller. And you saw the floor lamp.
Yes.
I've shown you a picture because we're going to use one here too in the right space. It's got a drum shade, and I think the drum shade in that corner might be too big. Most floor lamps sit too short.
Yeah.
Because they're meant to go next to or behind a chair, and it's an accent for a reading light. Yeah. But this one is like 60 to 4 inches, whatever it is, tall, which is
really tall.
Is
for
really
a
tall.
Floor lamp.
It's like 6 or 8 inches taller than your normal floor lamp, and it's dramatic. Like it's this
black cylindrical kind of thing.
Cylindrical. It's tapered. It's got
texture.
a texture to it, and it just ties that whole room together.
So this is something people don't know about her. When we launched our TikTok, and unknowingly we are here blessed with so many followers, a lot of her projects are, kind of in the garage, construction, automotive, outside. But I think a fun fact, a little known fact, is that she's an incredible interior designer.
Thank you. This room's getting pretty small. My head's getting so big.
Why don't you just hang some curtains upon it?
Exactly. I don't know. I think that is a perfect segue into a statement that I believe people pigeonhole themselves, and people allow themselves to be pigeonholed. And it's not intentional. It's not their fault. It starts at a young age. Like, looking at both of you, how many times were you told by your dad or by somebody else, like, what are you doing out here? That's a boy's job. That's a man's job. Like, girls don't do that.
My dad never said that.
Thank God, But how many people that has happened to,
right.
And so societally, that's what we believe is, okay, these are the things domestically that the woman of the house should do, and these are the things that the man of the house should do. And I just don't subscribe to that.
Tina's an all-around. She's a good all-around. And, when I met you, I thought I was, pretty decent at putting some things together. I didn't even know Tina taught me like what's modern, what's contemporary, what's traditional, how, you know, even just walking through spaces, she'll be like, they don't know who they are. Like, it's all mixed up in here. There's some traditional things, some contemporary things, some modern things. Like, this isn't working, and here's why. And so now, I mean, I've learned some of those basic, like, principles of design, and it's totally changed my eye, you know, about what, now I can kind of pick it out and be like, oh, that's two different styles. It doesn't jive, you know, and it's kind of fun to learn about.
Yeah. It's just been a hobby, you know, more than anything. I think Jenny has said it early on for both of us. We're both lifelong learners, and the things that we like to learn about are different. You know, the things that interest her, while similar, they may not be the same as what interests me. And if I have an interest in something, I'm going to find a way to learn more about it. And whether that's through self-education or going into the community and finding who the expert is and like, hey, I really would like for you to teach me about this. And 99% of the time, they are so happy to impart some knowledge or that somebody has, like Chris J. He was so grateful to show me his room downstairs and that I knew what, you know, transmitters were and that I knew what a diagram was for, you know, the towers, and just that little bit of knowledge opened him up, and he got to be seen for what he brings to you all. And,
yes.
And it's not, hey, call the IT guy. It's like, here is this human that is so incredibly knowledgeable about the infrastructure of what is needed to run this whole studio. But then he has this whole other side. You know, he's an electrical engineer. He is the manager of the network of like all of these things that are beyond, you know, buying laptops and microphones and making it work. And he got to talk about that with somebody that was genuinely interested. And that, to me, is the win, is him making him feel seen and making him feel that he is given a platform to say what's important to him and share his own story. That's what it's about.
You're so wonderful because I think he is so smart that he thinks on a different level, and it's so hard to connect with him.
Yes.
But you connected with him in 30 seconds. I don't know how you do it.
That's a gift. It's a gift. I mean, I think it is one of your superpowers.
It is. Like, I'm not, you know, I'm humble about it, and I appreciate the acknowledgement of that. And I think that's one of the things that makes me me. And I've had that since I was a little kid. It's just, you know, some people are blessed with musical talent, some people are blessed with athletic ability, and I just have a way with people. I don't know how to say it any other way.
It's beautiful.
It is.
Yeah. But great question. Really good question, Jenny. I like it.
I don't think people are ready. You know, I mean, people know you are who you are, but the first time they experience you kind of doing your thing and your element sort of it's always a cool thing to watch.
One of the things that I get pretty often is they see these little snippets, these recordings, the videos. It's 5-minute, 10-minute. But when you meet in person, and Jenny says it all the time, like she will often stand back and just watch what happens when I enter a room. And it's not with arrogance, it's not with boisterous voice or any sort of outlandish attire or anything like that. It is just an energy that is within me, and I can't, it's not anything that I intentionally do or try to fake or portray, or
Just is.
it just is the essence of me. And that's a gift, and it's my duty to share that gift.
Yes, it is.
For me, watching you on the videos, there's just, I don't know, there's something that just, you get so drawn in as you're just explaining something that I would never watch.
Right.
But here I am, 5 minutes into it.
Right. You're down the rabbit hole.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I've became such a huge fan. And when I met you in person, it was almost just like an instant comfort. Mm-hmm. Like
That's I get that word a lot.
like
that
a
a lot.
light.
Yeah. Like, I
don't
don't
know how to
know.
explain it.
And that is, I get that a lot. People don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain it.
I feel like I've known you forever.
That is exactly, that's often the takeaway.
Yep.
And that's cool. Like, to me, that's so, how cool is that?
So cool.
Yeah, how does it feel to be that person?
No, I think it's great.
It's fun.
I mean, I say you, like this third person. I get to hold space for people that may otherwise not be seen and may otherwise not be heard.
You leave everybody better than you found them.
I try, like, that's, I try without trying, if that makes any sense at all.
I want to know who that person was for you growing up that transformed you into the person you are today. Who was that comfort?
Hands down, my grandmother.
Your grandmother.
Yeah, hands down.
What was that like?
Oh gosh.
Unconditional love.
Yes, 100%.
We've talked about
We've
this.
talked about this at length. You know, Jenny and I both grew up spending a lot of time with our grandmothers, and on our mother's side. And I was the first grandchild.
We were both the favorite.
Yes. I mean, nobody likes to say that, right?
Does not
Like,
shock me.
But it's true.
but it's true.
Yeah.
Like, and oftentimes favored above her own children.
Oh, 100%.
You know, like,
yeah.
the focus was on me. But I think with good reason, you know, she knew, like, she saw it, she knew. And I think also one of the assignments was for her to uncover that in me, to make sure that I knew how to use that gift. I truly believe that. Because
cool.
she was that way. And not everybody is that way. She was that way.
And you looked up to her.
Oh, she was like everything.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm that way with my mom too. I will literally walk through fire for my parents, but especially for my mother. And my grandmother was the same way. You know, I had opportunities, I had scholarship offers to play collegiate basketball and or golf at D1 schools. I applied to go to the Air Force Academy. Lauren Jones from Spearfish got the appointment, and I had been given an appointment to the Coast Guard Academy and turned that down. My grandmother had been diagnosed with cancer and really not expected to make it through my freshman year of college. So I decided to stay and play basketball at Black Hill State, which they were thrilled. The summer before my senior year in high school, my parents moved from Lead Deadwood to Spearfish, which would have meant a school change. And who wants to do that your senior year? Especially a competing school in the same conference. So I lived with my grandmother during the week. My mom was a bank president at Wells Fargo, Norwest Bank back then, in Deadwood. So she was up every day. And if I felt homesick, I could ride home with her and come back up the next morning or drive home. But on the weekends, I would drive and stay with them at the house in Spearfish. So if my grandmother and I weren't close enough already, that year, like, I remember vividly. I will always remember her smell. I'll always remember the tone of her voice. And she would stand at the bottom of the stairs. My bedroom was upstairs. And especially if I had a basketball game that day, she would stand at the bottom of the stairs. Tina K, it's time to wake up. Tina K, I've got breakfast, And she would walk me out and stand on the front porch and in her house coat and, wave until I got in the car and went to school. And then she would come. She never missed a game. Never, not ever. So my freshman year of college playing basketball, she made it to every home game. And then she made it to every home game my sophomore year and my junior year and my senior year.
Wow.
And she passed away August 20th after my senior year. And said, being able to watch me play games gave her, just that extra push to fight. And when I was young, that year that I stayed with her, that Christmas, she had given me a locket that she had gotten with a picture of her on one side and me on the other side. And so the following year for Christmas, I had given her a locket with a different picture, but a picture of her and I in that locket. And so when she passed away, she asked to be buried with her Bible that had birthstones of all of her kids in their birth months on the cover of the Bible, and then the locket that I had given her.
I love that.
Yeah. And so, to really get personal, it took me years of therapy to be able to talk about that and say those stories without being in tears. But I remember sitting in the living room with her probably late May, early June, and I'd been offered a job as an assistant at Westward Ho, which is now Sioux Falls Country Club. And I wanted to take it, but I also didn't want to take it because I knew she was close. Like it was, she was close. And she said, I've lived my life. It's time for you to go live yours. I'll always be with you.
Well, now I'm going to cry.
And I took the job and went to Sioux Falls, and my mom had called that week and said, she's close. It'll be this week. And I remember being on the 18th green playing golf at Minnehaha with Amy Mickelson and Mrs. Mickelson, the former governor, his wife or his widow, and her daughter. We were playing golf, and one of the staff from the golf course came out and said, you have a phone call, and I knew right away. So I went home, packed a bag, called my mom, booked a ticket one way from Sioux Falls to fly here to Rapid, trying to get home because she was still alive. She was still with us, but it was going to be close. And I got to the airport in Sioux Falls, and this was the first time that I had learned about like their maximum number of flying hours as a flight attendant, and a delay put that flight crew over the max hours. So they had to wait for another flight crew to come in order to take off and fly here. So when I landed and when my dad picked me up, he knew that she had already passed, but obviously didn't want to tell me. Like, that's a hard news to deliver, and I don't blame him for not wanting to share that in that moment. So we made the trek from the airport up to her house in Lead. Mm-hmm. And when you come up over the top of the hill on mm-hmm. Gushurst and drive down, I could see everybody standing in the yard, mm-hmm. and I saw the hearse back up, and I knew right then, and got out, and I could see the look on my mom's face, and I just, you fall to your mm-hmm. knees and you're crying, but they had left her in the house for me. They had left her in her room.
That's
and
so
let
important.
And let me have my moment with her.
Yeah.
And go in and share that time. And, she'd been gone for probably at that point 2-3 hours. And I went in, and she was so peaceful. And like, you talk about lighting. I always talk about mm-hmm. lighting and design, and this will sound a little morbid, but I can remember the lighting in that bedroom. Like, she had these sheer, like drapes mm-hmm. that were drawn on the window, and like the blanket that she had covering her, like the Afghan. And when I'm sitting there and I'm holding her hand and I'm talking, again, years of therapy to have this conversation without crying. So thank you to my therapist. She had, I was on this side of the bed, and she had one tear roll down her cheek. Yeah, it's just incredible. So I knew that, she heard me, and that
she waited for you.
Yeah, she waited for me. So when you talk about being able to draw people in and, honor who they are as people and their life experience, and just really be a listener, that's really where I learned it, was from her.
It's beautiful.
You're passing it on to millions of people.
Well, yeah, I mean, what a great platform to be able to do it. And we're grateful that, Homeslice has given us a home here, and that you have given us your partnership and your support to put this content out.
But really, you walked in here and you're making this place a home for us.
Well, that's
for everyone.
Everybody wins. Like, that's what family is. And
I knew we belonged here. When I called, I was just like, okay, well, here's what
we're gonna do.
Here's what we can offer, and here's how I think this could work out.
Mm-hmm.
And you had so many other options, but here you stuck with Homeslice.
No, but it's about it's a feeling. It's about, it's not mine to hold. I'm not a gatekeeper. It's not my information or my. It's not my gift to hold. It's just not.
Well, and I think Tina also has this ability to impart confidence in other people. Like, okay, like I can do that. I was thinking the other day, because I feel like I am the voice of our followers, right? And I ask Tina the questions that maybe people are too afraid to ask. Like, how many women out there have never hung pictures in a straight line because they can't figure it out, like can't find the center on the wall and like the height and how to hang things equidistant so that they look, so then we end up with a lot of scatter patterns.
That's too much math.
Yeah.
Right? And so, Tina's like, well, what do you think people want to talk about? I was like, I have 27 questions I'll ask you right now of things that, I didn't know how to do, that we can cover. Ratchet straps was one of our very first really popular videos. Yeah. And I remember saying on that video, I was like, how many people would rather lay on a mattress, lay on the mattress going down the interstate at a high rate of speed than figure out how to do one of those stupid ratchet straps? Yep. And Tina's like, all right, let's figure this out.
I'm embarrassed to say I don't even know what a ratchet strap is.
Like a tie down, right?
Like the thing that goes
click. Yep, that's a ratchet strap tie down. Yep.
But if you when they're new, like you have to undo the strap, you have to refeed the thing, you have to know how the strap goes through that locking mechanism, and it can be intimidating.
It can be. And I think, from where we started 18 months ago, and that the content that's on TikTok will always remain the content that is, project driven, right? And the podcast will be what we're focused on, which is the building of community and empowering people and really just making them feel like they are part of the family. And that is what it's morphed into. Like, we wouldn't be here doing this in this chapter, doing this venture, without that experience on TikTok, without having launched that channel and having the feedback from people that follow of questions about, I don't know how to do XYZ. Can you show this next time? Can you do a video on this next time? Can you do this? And that is what it's about. I say it all the time. It's that. I'm not the gatekeeper. I have a skill set. I have a library of knowledge, and it is my duty, it is my wish to impart that on people in a way that is discernible, it is calm, it's positive, it's memorable, it's repeatable, all of the things that people have trauma from not getting when they asked the first time.
And I think, too, your background in golf and giving, I don't know, however many hundreds of thousands of golf lessons you've given, where you are trying to teach someone a skill or a way to do something, and all of the people learn in different ways and connect with the information and the club and the ball and the terrain and their body, and like all of that is different for every person. And you don't have an infinite amount of time to get them to understand it, internalize it, and be able to do it.
Right.
And so I think you figured out a way.
Right. That's the mark of a good teacher. I mean, from a mechanic standpoint, at the end of the day, with the game of golf, there are 9 ball flight laws. There's only ever going to be 9. There's not going to be less than 9. There's not going to be more than 9. So if you can, as an instructor, the mark of a good instructor, in my opinion, is being able to filter that information of what is happening with the student, with the player, and quickly learning how they learn and adapting what it is that you're trying to teach into the format, into the package of how they can understand it. That is what makes a good teacher.
There you go.
Wow. I know people have hundreds of questions, just like you said. So if people want us to ask those questions to you, can they send you questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the website?
The website is theunicornprojects, plural.com.
It's a beautiful website.
Thank you. I'd never built a website before either.
Gosh. And now she's designing a stage.
Yes. So if you have questions, you can email info@theunicornprojects.com.
Okay.
And there'll be a link on the bottom of the website so people can call in and leave a message with a question, a comment, and we'll get to those as well. The old school, long-time listener, first-time caller.
We could also call them and they can be a part of the podcast.
That would
Sit
be
in here and
outstanding.
ask as many questions as they want.
We got
He's so great.
We've got to put that in play as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
we have coffee with some local followers tomorrow.
Tomorrow morning, somebody
who reached out. Who was like, my wife's a huge fan. I don't know if you guys would ever want to meet for coffee.
You'll probably never even see
this message. And I was like, hey, what are a good day? He's like, I'm off on Sundays and Tuesdays or whatever. And I was like, how about Sunday? He's like, really? I'm like, yeah.
He's like, she is going to flip.
I'm like, I like coffee.
Cool. We like coffee. So we're going to meet him tomorrow.
That's so sweet.
It'll be great.
Can't wait to hear how it goes.
Yeah.
All right, ladies.
All right. Thank you.
Unicorn.
Thank you for tuning in to the Unicorn Projects, hosted by Amy Rose with Jenny and Tina. Music by Caroline Kilty. Produced by Russ Haddon. Engineered by Chris Jaquez. It's the Unicorn Projects on the Homeslice Audio Network.